Good morning, everyone. I'm Meemaw, and I'm going to read some books for you, some of my favorite. The first one is called My Mother is Weird. Stories by Rachna Gilmore, and it's illustrated by Brenda Jones. Illustrated. That means that they drew the pictures, and the author is Rachna Gilmore. She wrote the words. My mother is so weird. Some mornings when she wakes up, she has horns on her head and long pointy teeth and claws. She speaks in a voice like a jackhammer. But after her morning coffee, Mom's horns disappear and her teeth and claws shrink back to normal, and she speaks in a soft, smooth voice. One morning, the toilet plugged up, the lid fell off my toy box, and we ran out of coffee. My mother snapped and growled. The horns grew bigger and bigger. Her eyes were red and her teeth and her claws were enormous. When the horns weren't gone by mid-morning, I yelled, "I'm leaving." But I yelled quietly when my mother was using the blender. I packed my backpack, and as soon as my mother went into the bathroom, I shouted, "I'm going to Maria's house." "All right," my mother grunted, so I left. Maria's mother's always nice. She never yells. She speaks in a honey voice, and she smells so pretty. I rang Maria's doorbell. Maria opened the door. "Hi," I said. "Can I come and play with you?" "Sure," said Maria. "Come on in." She looked quickly over her shoulder. "But we have to be quiet." That is weird, I thought. Maria's mother never minds having anyone over. She never minds how much noise we make. Just then, Maria's mother came out of the kitchen. I stared. Maria's mother had horns and claws and pointy teeth, and she also had hair growing out of her ears. "What's going on?" I whispered. Maria said, "She gets like this sometimes. My baby brother was up 6 times last night, but don't worry. She's not too bad if we stay out of her way." We stayed out of her way. At lunchtime, Maria said, "Please stay for lunch." So I stayed. I didn't eat a lot. When we finished, I said very politely, "Thank you for the very lovely lunch." Maria's mother said, "You're welcome." But the horns were still there, and the claws and the pointy teeth and the hair growing out of her ears. I put on my backpack and said goodbye to Maria. I ran across the backyard and into my house. My mother was banging and rattling tools as she fixed my brother's toy box. The horns were still there. I ran up to her and I gave her a great big hug, and I said, "I love you." Then a strange thing happened. The horns disappeared and the claws and the teeth shrank back to normal, and all without coffee. "I love you too," said Mom, hugging me. I know sometimes my mother is weird, but most of the time she isn't. But at least she never has hair growing out of her ears. And that's the end of that story. Thank you.